Fractures of both radius and ulna. Your forearm is made of two bones, the radius and the ulna. In most cases of adult forearm fractures, both bones are broken. Fracture of both radius and ulna happen either by direct blow or trauma of forearm by indirect twisting or falling down on outstretched hand. So it can either be by direct blow or direct trauma, or by indirect trauma like falling down on outstretched hand. Okay, direct blow usually cause a transverse fracture at the same level. We can see here transverse fracture of the forearm, and it is at the same level in the radius and the ulna. This fracture is most commonly caused by direct blow. Okay, but twisting trauma or falling down trauma usually causes spiral or oblique fractures. Here we can see oblique fracture. Okay, when oblique, it is higher at the radius and lower at the ulna. This is the radius and this is the ulna. This is oblique fracture of both radius and the ulna. At radius, the level of the fracture is higher than at the ulna, and this is the case in most cases of oblique radial and ulnar fracture. Okay, in such fractures, easy displacement occur due to contraction of the muscles attached to the radius. We have a group of muscles that attach to the radius, for example biceps or supinator muscle, pronator teres, pronator quadratus. They are all muscles that attach to the radius. Contraction of these muscles on a previously fractured radius and ulna will cause biologic displacement of the bones. Okay, in the upper arm or in the upper forearm, biceps and supinator muscles cause the displacement. Okay, in the upper forearm, again biceps muscle and the supinator muscle cause the displacement because these two muscles inserted in the upper part of the radius. Okay, in the middle part, a pronator teres causes the displacement, and this is because pronator teres inserted in the middle part of the radius. Okay, and in the lower part, yes, as you expected, a pronator quadratus is the cause of displacement. Again, in the upper part, biceps and supinator muscle is responsible for displacement. In the middle part, pronator teres, and in the lower part, pronator quadratus. Okay, so what are the signs and symptoms of forearm fractures? As all fractures, pain, swelling, tenderness, bruising, and as we can see here, of deformity of the forearm, and of course inability to rotate the forearm. Pain, swelling, tenderness, bruising, inability to rotate the forearm, and some deformities can happen too. Okay, as usual in fractures, X-ray is the diagnostic imaging, and in X-ray we can see both bones broken, either transversely, okay, in the case of direct trauma, of course, as we said, or spirally or obliquely in the cases of twisting trauma. Here we can see oblique, okay, a fracture, and this is a spiral fracture. So transverse indirect trauma, oblique and spiral and indirect or falling down trauma. Be careful that, as we said, when transverse fracture, okay, we have to look at the level of fractures, or the levels of fracture. In the radius, it should be higher than on the ulna in most cases. In high energy trauma, the fracture is usually comminuted or segmented. Okay, this is trauma due to gunshot. As you can see here, it is comminuted. Okay, this is high energy trauma. Children both radius and ulna fracture are usually incomplete. Okay, the incomplete fractures of the radius and ulna in children is called green stake fracture. A green stake fracture, incomplete fracture of the radia and ulna. Okay, so what is the treatment of both radius and ulna fracture? Of course, in emergency room, you have to take history, physical examination, giving painkiller, and do neurovascular examination by checking the pulses, the movement, the tenderness on the forearm and the wrist and the hand, etc. Okay. After this, treatment in children differ from adults. In children, close reduction are usually successful. Cast from the axilla to the rest of the arm is applied to control rotation, of course. So first of all, we do reduction, close reduction, in children, and then we put a cast. Okay, after putting a cast, 1 week after putting the cast, we have to do X-ray. If it is successful and there is no displacement, then we just retain the splintage and we wait 6 to 8 weeks to heal. Okay, so close reduction in children, close reduction, cast, then X-ray after 1 week to make sure that the bone is approximate to each other. After that, we wait 6 to 8 weeks to the fracture to heal. Okay, I want to make some notes on the cast that is put in the case of the radial and ulnar fractures. In the case of a fracture proximal to the pronator teres, we fixate the cast in supination position. Okay, let me just back to the pronator teres. Okay, this is pronator teres. Okay, insertion. If the fracture is proximal or above the insertion of pronator teres, then we fixate the cast in supination position. If below the pronator teres, we put the cast in a neutral position. This is a neutral position, and this is supination position. Okay, this is about children treatment of radial and ulnar fractures. What about adults? Okay, just I want to say that if the close reduction and cast is unsuccessful in the children, of course we have to do open reduction and internal fixation. Okay, open reduction and internal fixation. And fortunately, in most cases, we don't need to do this because the close reduction is successful in children. In adults, close reduction is really difficult. So open reduction and internal fixation is what we do. Okay, After operation, you have to keep the arm up, okay, and you have to keep exercising to prevent what we call compartment syndrome. I will talk about compartment syndrome in a few seconds, okay. So we have to do open reduction and internal fixation in most of adults, because unfortunately closed reduction is unsuccessful in adults, okay. So this is the treatment of radial and ulnar fracture in children and in adults. Of course, again and again and again, don't forget to do neurovascular examination before and after anything you want to do to treat the fractures. Okay, see you in the next video.